Great day, attractive thinker. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your identity coach and get to the root specialist at theattractivethinker.guru. This is where we support new and aspiring entrepreneurs in writing your books and launching your business ideas, bringing about that change and transformation in your life and blast all of that procrastination and low self-esteem and doubt and fear. We have mental tools on our website. Visit the site. We have some freebies there for you to get you started so that you can end that procrastination and all of that waffling back and forth. I'm going to write my book. I'm not going to write it. I'm going to start my business. I'm not going to start it. And year in and year out, nothing changes but your age. So visit the website, theattractivethinker.guru. I already trust attractive thinkers that you have your copy of the Attractive Thinker Experience on Amazon. This is what it looks like. I want you to make sure that after this message that we share with you today, you visit page 115. We're going to be talking today about it's not what you're going through, but how you're viewing it. Welcome, my co-host, Tichet Bradshaw.
Happy Mindset Monday, everybody. We made it. We made it again through another week. We get to do what we've never done, go where we've never gone, and have all that we deserve to have in this lifetime. It's a great day to be alive.
It is a fantastic and amazing day to be alive. Attractive thinkers, I trust you have your Attractive Thinker notebook handy to capture these gems. If you've listened to last week's episode, you know that we are on fire and empowering you to move forward in your life with flow and ease, giving you the tools that you need to meet this resistance or these obstacles or challenges or just simply life so that you can get the goal accomplished, whatever that goal might be for you. We need tools. We all need tools. So today we're talking about it's not what you're going through, but how you're viewing it. Why are we talking about that? Because living life beyond a break, number one, experiencing a break, it does something to you. It changes you. It shifts your perception. It changes how you see things. Certain things that were important in the beginning are now not as important, and things that were not as important or were not a priority, they are now the top priority. So your life changes and it shifts. And when we encounter these things, these experiences, they come sometimes with challenges and obstacles and opportunities and options. But if we're looking at them from one perspective, like I shared a scenario with Tichet a minute ago about what if, imagine yourself in a circle with entrepreneurs, with leaders, thought leaders, or, people who support and love you. Imagine yourself in a circle. You all are in a circle, and there's one item in the center of the circle that everyone is looking at. I guarantee you, if I ask every person in the circle, what is it that they see, they're going to say something different. Every single person. There's only one object in the middle of the circle, but every person sees something different because of the perspective that they have, the position, the angle that they're in which they're looking at this particular item. And that's how it is with our experiences in life. That's why, my son tells me this all the time, how appreciative he is to have people in his circle that support him, that have vision. You need to be surrounded by people that have vision, because you're looking at your goal, your vision, the challenge or the opportunity or life from one perspective, from a certain angle. Whereas if you have other people around you with vision who can see beyond what they're looking at, can see beyond the challenge and the obstacle, they can give you their perspective, a perspective that you haven't even considered. Because that phrase that we use in our business is not what you're going through, but how you're viewing it. It is a real statement. Just the statement alone, Tichet, has shifted my perception right in the middle of challenges, or right in the middle of a disappointment or frustration or a decision that I had to make. That one statement alone really helped me to shift my perception. Once your perception shifts, everything about your life changes. Talk to us today, Tichet, about it's not what you're going through, but how you're viewing it.
That's absolutely true. Once you shift your perception, you say everything is changes. And I mean, that is so so on point because most of our life is perception, right? Most of our life is how we perceive a thing. How you perceive a thing is how you'll receive a thing. You can perceive something as bad, and no matter what comes out of it, you're going to see it as bad. You could perceive something as good, and no matter what comes out of it, you're going to see it as good. So, for instance, two people can get into a car accident, and two people have a different perception concerning that accident. One person in that car can have the perception that everything that happens, there's good in everything that happens, all things work together for good, so something comes out of it. Another person can have, when it rains it pours, why something happened to me. In other words, you have victim or victor that can be in the same car, and each of those perceptions, they will get out what they perceive. So when the victim gets in a car accident, the victim focuses on what bad happened, what happened here, what did this, and I gotta carry all this, and this is that, and they can feel that weight. Where the person who's a victor, who is thinking all things work together for good, or all things good happens no matter what, they're going to look for the good in that. They might say, okay, well, maybe we just needed a new car, or maybe we just needed some abundance of cash coming in. Maybe we just needed to stop right where we are. We got into this little fender bender, but it could have stopped us from being killed down the road. So things had to, slow us down. I was in a car the other day, and I was talking to somebody, and we were stuck behind a bicycle rider. And when you're in a fast lane, not a fast lane, but if you're in a high traffic area and there's a bicycle rider, everybody yield to the bicycle rider. Well, the car in front of us was just giving him all the road. I mean, he just let him have all the road, and then we couldn't get around the car. So the person that was in the car with me, they said, "Oh, come on, why are we doing this?" And I said, "Why are we in a rush?" And they said, "This bicycle, I just want to go around them, and I just want to do this." And I said, well, you never know what that bicycle is saving us from at this moment. And come to find out, yes, later on, things happen down the road that we could have been a part of, but we weren't. So when things happen, there's always a different point of view for why it's happening. There's always something behind the scenes. There is never really, you can't really take everything on face value, right? Because everything happens for a reason and a purpose. So when you're having a perception of good, you're going to find the good. When you're having a perception of bad, you're going to find the bad. Either way, it's going to reflect back to you that you're absolutely correct. And so, again, I always say the saying, as a man thinketh, so is he, is so true, because if a person has the perception that they are unstoppable, that they are unlimited, that they can do anything, that they can win, they will do things that support that, and the universe will reflect that back to them. Another person can say, nothing ever good happens to me, everything I does fail, why I can't just seem to get myself together. That energy comes back into them and shows them that what they're saying is right, but they're looking for the energy that matches that. So your focus is on your perception. Your perception is based on your focus. So when you focus on, you really get to choose victim or victor, right? And when you choose victor, you're choosing the seat above the turbulent of life. When you choose victim, you're trying to take everything face value, and you're trying to hold everything on your shoulder, the weight of the world on your shoulders, and you don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. So when you're a victor, you can see beyond what you're looking at, and you're looking further into stuff, and you're researching, and you're truth seeking, and you're figuring out why this had to happen. And in your search, you figure out why. And so it takes away the pain of what happened. It takes away the pain of the situation when you know that there's something behind the scene that made this good. So when we say it's not what you're going through, but how you perceive it, meaning perception is everything, then what you're going through is not the forefront of it all, but your perception is. That means that what you're going through, it's like the curtain to what's really going on. And we did a show called What's Really Going On, when we show some behind the scenes scenarios of some life situations, because life can become turbulent and life can come at you if you're focusing on that turbulence. But if you're focusing on the vision, and you're focusing on where you're going, and you're focusing on your journey, then you're not going to always focus on what life brings you. So that doesn't become the most important thing. The journey becomes the most important thing. The vision becomes the most important thing. And so the energy that you put out for that brings back a reflection of what you believe. It brings back a reflection of um, you truth seeking. It brings back a reflection of what you perceive as good. So it's going to bring back that reflection of good. So when we're saying it's not what you're going through, but how you perceive it, we're saying check your perception in every circumstance. Whenever you hit a crossroad, check every perception. Check what you have to assess your thoughts, assess where you are, assess what you've been thinking, assess what's you got to weigh the odds of what's going on here. It's not just that one thing. 9 times out of 10, whenever you go through a situation, it's not just that one thing. I talked about in previous episodes how my landlord wanted me to move from my rental at the time. And though I could have taken it as, oh, he's putting me out and he's selling the house from under me and all that stuff. I didn't look at that. I looked at it as a time to upgrade. I said, well, if he selling this house and I have to move, then there must be something better in store for me. And I settled for nothing less than what I perceived. And in the end, I end up getting what was in store for me, and it was time to upgrade. So the energy end up going out, and the universe end up proving me that what I thought was right. Back to you, Dr. Toni.
So amazing to shed when we think about it's not what we're going through, but how we're viewing it. You said there's always a different point of view in situations. And one of the visions that I got, images while you were talking was, we always say, people go to a performance. Let's say you go to a theater and you watch a performance, live actors on stage, but we have no idea what's going on behind the curtain. I want to flip it for the sake of this topic today. The people behind the curtain, although they're going through all kinds of things, sometimes the mic is not working, sometimes the lights are not working, sometimes they can't find an outlet or can't find a costume, or a prop broke down and they got to repair that. All of that's the people behind the curtain can't see how beautifully it's flowing on the stage. Just like the people on the stage can't see behind what's going on behind the curtain, or in the audience can't see what's going on behind the curtain, the people behind the curtain can't see how much of an enjoyable, a beautiful event that they're contributing to, because they're behind the curtain. They have a different perspective of the same function, the same play, or the same production. So when we talk about, let's break it down and make it practical, our everyday experiences, or a challenge that we're facing, or an opportunity that we're presented with, we're not sure what decision to make. It's really not what we're faced with. When we say it's not what you're going through, it's not what you're faced with. It's not what's being presented to you. It's how you're viewing it that's going to contribute to the result that you get from it. So I always say, challenges and opportunities are twins. They come together. They knock on the door together. Who answers the door, the victim or the victor, it is dependent upon which one they see first. If challenges and opportunities come together, if all you see is the challenge, that's what you're going to get. You said that, Tichet. You said how you perceive a thing is how you receive a thing. You get out of it what you perceive out of it. So if that's true, attractive thinker, take the current thing that we're facing right now, and we're all facing something. I'm facing something, big decisions and big moves I have to make in my life. We're all facing something. So if we take that and shift the perception, because 9 times out of 10, to shed, there's a perception that we've been focusing on. There's a dominant perception that is consuming our focus. So if we shift the focus just a little bit, not a lot, I know shifting a focus takes a lot of effort because you have to change what you believe. You have to change what you believe in order to change what you see. So shifting the focus takes effort, but it's worth it because it opens up a whole new world of possibilities and opportunities that you haven't considered because you're focusing on one perception, one perspective. Um, I thought about this when you were talking to Shet about finding a positive focal point because there's so many perceptions and so many options or so many views, so many different ways to view a thing. The common one, like you mentioned a while ago, is to think that it's the end of me, or it's not going to work out, or this is the best it's going to get. If we find a positive focal point, a positive view from this experience, and we decide to focus our attention right there, we'd be surprised at how that particular focal point can actually pull us through these contrary winds, this situation that you're struggling to see beyond. If we see, and choosing, finding a positive focal point is just a decision. I decide to focus on this, or I decide to see it this way. I've had that experience so many times in my life, and people will say to me, well, didn't you see what happened, or didn't you hear what they said, or didn't you hear what the doctor said? I said, yeah, I heard it, but I get to choose how I want to perceive and receive this experience. I get to choose, and how you perceive it. I'm telling you, this is how two different people can experience the same kind of diagnosis or phone call or experience, and you get two different outcomes. You get two different because you have two different perspectives. If one person is viewing it as, okay, I wouldn't have chosen, for this experience to come my way, but there's something in it that I can use, they're going to get some good out of it that will help them to grow and become a better person as a result of a distasteful experience. But the other person, I can see if they don't change their perspective, then they're wallowing in it and they're contributing to the growth of it. They're multiplying it and magnifying it. They are contributing to the outcome that they fear the most because of the energy that they bring, because of how they're viewing it. So, for example, let me share something with you, Attractive Thinker. Like I said, I trust that you have your copy of the Attractive Thinker Experience on Amazon, and turn to page 115, okay? So, page 115, that section is entitled, It's Not What You're Going Through, but How You're Viewing It. And that's why I wanted to read that to you today. So, it says, as an identity coach and get to the root specialist, I've heard all kinds of stories about childhood experiences that attractive thinkers have been through. And I've heard women who did not grow up with their father in the home feel exactly the same way as women who did grow up with their father in the home. I've seen women who did not grow up with their mother in the home feel the same way as women who did grow up with their mother in the home. I've seen men who grew up with their father in the home make the same choices and decisions as men who did not grow up with their father in the home. I've heard men speak about growing up without their mother in the home and share the same feelings and emotions as a man who did grow up with his mother in the home. This right here, what I'm sharing with you, it dispels the myth that you're this way or that way because of what you did or did not get, or what did or did not happen to you. You take your power back when you shift and you listen to this message that Tichet and I are sharing with you today, and you shift your perception. It's a form of taking your power back. And eventually you get to the point whereas it's not so much about what happened as it is about what you can do with what happened to you or what you experience. It takes a kind of person who is willing to do the work, get the clarity, and set themselves free from anything that was totally out of their control. How can you shift your perception of it and use it going forward to fuel your life and inspire others along the way? Make sure you get your copy on Amazon. So that particular section in the book, I wanted to highlight that because a lot of times, Tachet, we'll use our personal experience as the reason why something happened or as the reason why something did not happen. We'll use what we said, what we didn't say. I should have said this, or maybe I shouldn't have said that, and that wouldn't have happened. Or what we did or did not do, opportunities that we missed, opportunities that we so-called took. Maybe I should have chose the red door instead of the blue door. We personalize these experiences. This is what's coming up for me right now. We personalize these experiences as if they were directly a personal attack against us. But when we shift our, because that's what happened to me in the first book that I wrote, Don't Be Afraid, He's Preparing You. I thought God was out to get me. I thought he was punishing me for something. And this is a real thing. And when you first read the first parts of that book, my heart is wide open. And I shared exactly where I was mentally when I experienced a defining moment in my life. But when I shift that's our first response. We take it personal. And if we're taking it personal, what we see is all of our flaws are magnified, and it's just like a buffet. We get to pick and choose. Well, maybe it's because of this, maybe it's because I said that, maybe because I did that, maybe because I didn't do that, maybe it's because I'm too fat, maybe it's because I'm ugly, maybe it's because I'm too light or too dark, or maybe because I'm poor, maybe it's because I have too much money, maybe it's because I'm greedy, maybe because I don't treat people right. We internalize it, and we make these experiences personal when they're not personal at all. I said it in my book. I had to get to a point, a stage in my experience where it was no longer personal, but it was preparation. That's a shift. That's a perception shift. It's not what I'm going through, it's how I'm viewing it. So I have more power and control over my experiences than I thought I did. Just by the way, because how you view a thing determines everything. If I hand you an apple and you see it as an orange, you're going to miss out on all the benefits of an apple. You're going to treat it like an orange. If I hand you a book and you treat it like a laptop, you're misinterpreting what's being given to you. You're misinterpreting what you're experiencing, and you're not going to get the full benefit of it. So it's not what you're going through, but how you're viewing it is an opportunity for you to shift your perception so you can see things differently, have a broader panoramic view of the same situation. And you say, well, what, Dr. Toni, and again, the attractive thinker experience talks about that. You say, well, why think attractively? Why shift my view? What's the point of coming up with a different perspective? It's so that you don't destroy yourself in the process. It's so that you don't take on more weight than you're supposed to in this process. It's so that you don't internalize and start pointing fingers at yourself and poking at your flaws and destroying your self-esteem just because you're going through something. It's so that you can handle life in a healthier way, so that every time something happens in your life, you're not taking it, you don't keep assessing yourself. Where did I go wrong? What could I have done better? What did I do? How many times have you asked yourself, what did I do? I didn't do anything. I was trying to do the right thing, and then this happened. Having these attractive thinker mental tools really supports you in not beating yourself up, but arming yourself so that you can get through these experiences and come out with gems in your pocket, come out evolved into a better person, come out stronger, smarter, wiser, more clear than you did when you encountered the experience. Back to you, Tichet.
You said a lot. One of the things that I was just getting ready to ask you is why do we want to shift our perception? Why do we want to? And you answered it right then and there. Your book has been dispelling a lot of myths, right? Your first and your second one. Now you said take it, it's not personal, it's preparation, right? That right there is preparation. That's a shift, a definitely a shift of perception. Because most people, when things hit them, that's not normally their first response. Their first response is not normally it's preparation. So how do we get to a point where we stop taking things personal and start taking it and start looking at it as preparation? And I believe that it takes desire. I believe that we have to have a strong desire to see our vision through. We have to be able to see that where we're going in life is a truth. And we have to have that desire to see it through. That desire to see it through has to be stronger than the situations that's facing you. But when we talk about preparation, what are we preparing for? We have to believe we're being prepared for the vision. We have to believe we're being prepared and equipped for our journey towards the purpose of our life or the purpose of our vision, you know. And so when we have a preparation type of mindset when life happens, it's rare that when things hit you, the first thing you'll do is take it personal, because you always know, you now know that there's two sides to every story. You now know that there's personal, where you can put the weight of the world on your shoulder, and then there's preparation, where you say, okay, what can I get out of this? We have to know that in this experience, while we are in our physical bodies, that we are called for an experience, and we deserve an experience that is worthwhile. And our desire to see that our vision or our experience is good has to be stronger than anything we set up in life. And that's going to take some preparation for us as well, Dr. Toni. It's going to take us to learn that perception is everything. It's going to take for us to learn that we can't just automatically fall into the default of victim every time something happens. We have to look at, okay, what is this calling me to do? What is it? You know, you can fall, trip, and bump your head. Now you can focus on happening not on your head, or you can see how that fall that you had took you to a hospital, that allowed you to meet somebody who is responsible for a shift and a change in your life that helped you reach your mission or your goal. Another thing, Dr. Toni, you said you got to take back your power, right? That takes a strength. Now, the strength that we have to take back our power is going to come from us not having to carry the weight of the world on our shoulder, not having to say, woe is me, or to say, why did this happen? Or, I mean, not why did this happen? Why did this happen to me? See, why did this happen and why did this happen to me is two different perceptions. Why did this happen mean I'm searching and seeking for what was the cause of it, what's behind the scene. Why did this happen to me is me placing it personal on my life, and it closes the door, because all you're doing is you're perceiving it you're perceiving it as if it was like you said, an attack against you. So you're looking for why that attack. So you ever get into a place where something happens, right? Like you said, something happens. Let's take the diagnosis, like you said, Dr. Toni. You get that diagnosis and you say, why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me, right? You start going through life and you start trying to find anything you've done to match why that could have happened, right? So you might say, oh, it's because I didn't give that day. Or you think of a whole bunch of reasons to why you deserve this at this point, right? So what you're doing is you are focusing on finding things that fit that narrative of the woe is me. But when you're like, why did this happen? You like, okay, what just happened here? Okay, I got this diagnosis. What just happened here? Is it meant for me to just, like she did in the last holiday, to live out the rest of my days and to try everything on my bucket list, and then in the end you get healed, and or it's misdiagnosis and you end up finding your real life. So
Mm.
it took her to get a diagnosis to find her real life. That takes courage to go beyond what you're looking at. That takes courage to shift your perception. But you have to have the desire to see a vision through in order to desire to look past the situation. Because every situation is not because you did something wrong or you did something right. Every situation does have the opportunity of growth, though. Every situation has an opportunity of growth, rather good or bad. It has an opportunity of growth. You can either take it at face value and allow yourself to be stunted, allow it to stunt your growth, or you can take it and allow yourself to see what it is further than what you think. Allow yourself to know more than what you would normally think. Allow it to open the doors for you to a world you didn't know existed, and so that you can see that there's more to life than what you knew, and you let the situation help you grow. It help you further your vision, and you end up finding yourself in the process. There's many times where we didn't find ourselves until we went through something that almost killed us.
Mm.
That's how we found our life. That's how we found our life, to something we thought that made us want to die, that made us want to just be like, I don't want to do this no more. I'm tired. Don't say nothing to me. I'm this, that. And we end up finding our true lives in it. How is that? Because we had the desire to have a vision and to see it through. We had the perception that we are great. We didn't know how we was going to do this. We didn't know how we was going to get there, but we know we were going. We know we were on a journey. And that's some people out here that might be watching us right now that don't know that they're on a journey to greatness. Because like you always say, greatness doesn't always feel so great. You don't feel great now, but that greatness is developed through situations and circumstances, and seeing if you can rise above turbulent situations and times, and seeing if you can handle the pressure. You know, being a diamond ain't easy when it comes to having to go under that pressure in order to release the cold from your life. Being a diamond is not easy. Changing your perception is not easy. Seeing beyond what you're looking at is not easy. But this is why it takes a certain type of person to be able to do that. It takes visionaries to be able to see beyond what you're looking at, having the courage to focus on it till it manifests. It takes vision. It takes vision to be able to hold on to something. It takes vision. It takes strength. You know, it takes a person with a vision to have the strength to be able to move past what you see, perceive a totally different thing, allow it to shift your mind, allow it to shift your life and work out for your good. That takes a person of greatness to be able to take something bad and turn it into something great. How? Something in your life died and you allowed it to turn into something great. That's a legend right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's some legendary stuff right there. As a matter of fact, Dr. Toni, most of the legends that we admire because they pushed past something we thought would kill them.
Yeah.
They pushed past something they thought was the end of them. There's no end to us. Sometimes the situation and circumstances that you're going through right now is the beginning of you. It's the beginning of your new life. It's the beginning of your new you. So you got to allow yourself the ability to see that you deserve greatness. You deserve to see your vision through. Stand up for it. Fight for your right. Take your power and take your proper place on your throne, and get out there and live your life like the queen or king you are, because you deserve it. Back to you, Dr. Toni.
You know, Tichet, it's so amazing that you brought up one of my favorite movies, The Last Holiday, because I've been looking for that movie like for the past week on different streaming services and things like that. I had recorded it. I also purchased a copy, but I couldn't find it on my DVR. But we're talking about the movie Last Holiday with Queen Latifah. That's like one of my favorites. So one of the things you said was it took her getting a diagnosis to live her real life, meaning I don't want to give the movie away, but her perception shifted, and in that experience, it motivated her to run for her life, to live the life that she was holding in her dream, in her heart, in her mind, in her vision. You know, when she got that diagnosis, it changed the game. When her perception shifted, that was when she became fully alive in life. And again, it wasn't what she was going through, it was how she was viewing the diagnosis that changed the game for her. So I want you to, take an opportunity, Attractive Thinkers, and watch the movie. You'll see what we're talking about. But you also talked about Tichet, and you took the words right out of my mouth when you said this, because while you were talking, I was thinking to myself, in order for attractive thinkers and visual encouragers to shift their perception, it's going to call for a level of trust. Meaning, why shift your perception if you don't believe in it? Number one, you don't think anything's going to happen or become of it. You're going to have to. It's going to take for you. You said it's going to take for us to learn that perception is everything. That's why you want to shift it, because perception is everything. How you see a thing determines everything. How you see it determines what you're going to get from it. The same thing. So it's not what's being presented to you. It's not what you're going through. It's not the phone. It's not the cell phone. It's how you're viewing the cell phone. It's not the knock on the door. It's how you took it. It's not the experience or the circumstance. It's not the diagnosis. It's not the bills. It's not the children. It's not the family or the environment. It's how you're perceiving it. Your perception is just that strong. I heard one of my mentors many years ago say, your perception is stronger than your reality. That's powerful. That lets you know how powerful, how strong your perception really is, how much power you really have over your circumstances. If your perception, how you perceive it, how you look at it, is stronger than the reality of what you're experiencing right now, that means if you shift your perception, you can shape your reality. You can reshape your reality. So, Tisha, you said, it's going to take for us to learn that perception is everything. So we have to trust that shifting perception works. We have to trust that shifting perception will change something. We have to trust that there's something to this perception thing, because other than that, you're not going to, like you said, it takes courage and confidence, strength and power to shift your perception. So if we don't think that there's anything to it, we're not going to have the energy or the motivation to do it. Oh, shift my perception for what? Oh, okay, I shifted my perception. The situation didn't change. The situation doesn't have to change because you did. It's not what you're going through. It's not the situation you're experiencing. It's how you're viewing it. The situation doesn't have to change. How many times have you experienced a release, a weight lift, or an open door, an opportunity, and the situation didn't change? The situation doesn't have to change for things to change. And I trust that this message is giving you the hope that you need, the perspective that you need to get through the situation that you're experiencing and see beyond it. When you seeing beyond is not just for the sake of seeing beyond. Seeing beyond is so that you can function on a level that's above what you're experiencing. You're causing your reality to rise up to where you are instead of you lowering yourself to where it is. You're forcing your circumstances to rise up to meet your expectation, your vision, versus you living your life based on what you see and what you're experiencing and what's being presented to you. That's two different realities. So one reality is presented to you and another one you get to create.
Mhm.
Whatever is being presented to you, that's one reality. But there's another reality that you get to create based on what you're being presented with, because you decided that perception shifting works. You decided to trust in the intangible versus the tangible things that are offered to you in this reality. So, see, this works attractive. These mental tools and resources that we share every week on Beyond the Break, giving yourself a fighting chance, they work. So, trust that it works and then make the shift. Trust that it's just like, trust that the parachute works and then take the jump. This is what we're talking about here.
Mm.
So, in order to shift your perception, you have to trust that shifting your perception works. You have to trust that it reveals a new world full of options, new options and opportunities. And I think, Tichet, the biggest thing that we have to trust is ourselves. We have to trust that we're deserving of it. We're good enough. We have to trust that we have enough. We are enough for life to work in our favor, for situations to turn out for our good. We have to trust ourselves enough and see, if we're going to shift a perception, we have to change how we see ourselves. See ourselves as queens and kings and victors and not victims. See ourselves as overcomers and winners and not losers. Tichet, tell our audience how they can get in touch with you, the visual encourager.
Absolutely. You can find me on my website at www.visualencouragement.com. We provide mental support for movers and shakers, for trailblazers, pathfinders, and groundbreakers, visionaries who desire to move mountains but need help lifting the heaviness so that you can create a new vision and a new perception for yourself. Go to my contact us page, put in your information, let me know how I can uplift you, enlighten you, and encourage you so that you can live a life of fulfillment beyond the break. Again, that's www.visualencouragement.com. See you soon.
Awesome. I didn't want to cut you off. Did you have any last comments on this topic before we close out today? It's not what you're going through, but how you're viewing it.
I always have something to say. One of the things I did want to say to every attractive thinker out there, that most of our life, when we say perception is everything, most of our life is based on thought, right? It's brought in by thought. We have things that happen, and then we have how we respond to them. We have the perception of what happened. So if you think about it, while you're watching this video, what is really happening now, not what has happened or what could possibly happen, what is happening right now, and are you bringing that thing that's worrying you in by thought? Because a lot of us, we take what could happen or these scenarios and we play them over and over in our head, and it takes away the moment where we can have peace. It takes away that moment, and it inflicts a little bit of turbulence in us, and shift and change our energy. And then when we shift and change our energy, we can't get into a place where we can shift our perception. So when you're going through something, you have to ask yourself, how else can I look at this? Like Dr. Toni said in her first book, how else can I look at this? What other way can I see this? Because when the pain is too great, sometimes it's like, okay, I'm hurt, this happened. How else am I supposed to see this? That right there is a question from visionaries. That right there is a question from a person who wants to go beyond
That's right.
the norm, who wants to rise above this situation. How else can I perceive this heartbreak? Now, and then understanding that most of life is perception, not action, but perception. Because you have what happened, what you thought happened, and how you perceive what you thought happened. You know what I mean? So it's all a cycle, and we just telling you to consider it, because it's not what you're going through, it's how you're viewing it. Back to you, Dr. Toni.
Awesome. Attractive thinkers, you always hear us share these gems and mental tools and resources because we want you to be successful. We want you to have the tools that you need to overcome the obstacles that you're going to face on your journey to reaching your goals, whether it's writing your book, starting your business, changing your life, transforming, doing something more than what you've already done, because that's what we do as attractive thinkers. We always seek to do more, to better ourselves, to expand, to grow. We want more of life. life, more meaning and fulfillment. And it takes courage and confidence to do that. And you need tools because most of the time you're not surrounded by people who want the more, who want to soar above the storm and rise above and think attractively and see beyond what they're looking at. So you need support in doing so. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your identity coach and get to the root specialist at theattractivethinker.guru, where we support you and provide the tools to end the procrastination, the doubt, and the fear, overcome all this internal stuff because we need support. Who do you talk to? Where do you turn? Where are they teaching this at? Right here at The Attractive Thinker. Visit visualencouragement.com. You always hear us say, our life's work, that's to make your life better. It is not what you're going through, it's how you're doing it. Think attractively, and we'll see you soon.